Let's hope this goes better than yesterday. Yes, we're good. All right, fantastic. So we're on day 4. Can you believe that we are already on day 4 of my birthday week / parenting program launch that I am doing for one of the most unique parenting programs that anybody has ever offered out there. And I will get into more of that tomorrow. But in the meantime, we've been talking about my 3 pillars of my parenting philosophy, and I've developed it over decades of working with kids. But what people have been asking me is, well, how did you figure all this out? Well, number one, I'm a bit of a nerd and I need to find out the answers to things. So if I don't know something, I will ask, or I will do a ton of research, or especially if it catches my attention, I'm liable to empty out the library on a regular basis and just load up on all the books I can. And I did a lot of that. But there was a pivotal moment in my life where it just started the click. And I remember it to this day. I was in one of my psychology classes back in college. It was before it became a university. So we're talking way back when. Listen, probably half of you weren't even born yet. But point being, because yes, it's my birthday. But the point being is that they talked about these psychologists and counselors and all these people that were very, very learned and very book learned. And they were at a playground watching kids play, and they were just running around and they're having a great time. Kind of like the kids at a schoolyard. You know, we have all the fences up for them. And what they thought was that these kids need more space. Like they're pushing on it, they're leaning. You know how kids do that, right? And they yank on it and they shake it back and forth, and they're running around yelling and screaming, having a great time. So they, in their wisdom, thought it would be a great idea to remove the fence. Now, in theory, makes sense, right? You know, they're safe, so, you know, let them go, right? Like, give them more space. They obviously need it. So they came back the next day expecting to see the kids just having a blast, running around, like, you know, all over, playing on the swings and running around, playing tag and all the things that kids do. But what they came back and found was it was very quiet, and the kids were pretty much huddled in the center because they had taken away their fence. They'd taken away the space that kept them from going too far and gave them the space in which they could play to their maximum and have the most fun. But no, this is as far as I could go. So that brings me to today's topic, which is boundaries. Now, I've been talking to a lot of moms lately, and somebody asked me, well, how do you teach boundaries? Well, it's not that I teach boundaries, but I help you to find your own boundaries of what you are willing to kind of let go, no big deal, and things that are like, no, we are not doing that. For some parents, it may be absolutely no profanity of any shape or form, not even gosh darn it, dang it all, okay? There are some people that choose to do that, and there are some that let their kids F-bomb. Like, I'm just using that as an example, so don't get mad. For others, it may be that their boundary or their rule is that everybody sits at the table for every single meal and nobody leaves until everybody is done. That was my cat who just knocked this over. Oh my gosh, so sorry. Hey, let go. Oh my gosh, talk about boundaries. My cat has got her nails stuck. Okay, this will have to get edited out. Welcome to live. Oh my goodness. Okay. I try to set boundaries with my cats, but it's just, you know, it's like, yeah, just not going to happen. So that was fun. Oh my goodness, she's never done that. What a beast. Anyways, okay, let's get back on track. So boundaries are something that you kind of decide what's okay and what's not okay. So for some people, the kids playing in the house and being really loud and, you know, and laughing and running around, that's okay with them. For other parents, that's just a no-no. It could be anything from like when you come in the house that everybody has to hang up their stuff. For others, it's just pile it in a corner. These aren't necessarily rules, but they're the things that you find okay with. Maybe you're really one that, you know, when you're out, you want your kids holding onto the stroller. I used to be really, really firm with that, where the kids, when we were walking, okay, there were 7 of them. So I'd have a double stroller, so they were one in front of the other. So that's 1, 2, sometimes I put 2 in the back. So there's 3. Checking the cat. So there'll be 3 in the buggy, and then 2 on either side walking with me. And you hung on to that buggy. Why? Because you were helping me. But secondly, I didn't have to worry about anybody running off. So that was my boundary. If you let go of that stroller, I got told, hey, hands on the stroller, help me out. And it really helped keep the kids where I knew where they were. It kept my anxiety level of them running into traffic or roaring ahead, which for me felt really uncomfortable. And it allowed the kids to know what was expected of them. Now, when we got to the playground, party on, run your face off, away you go. But the boundary was they couldn't go outside the rock box. I would even walk them around it when they were new, if they really didn't understand. Or I'd show them the piece of wood that held all the rocks, and I'd say, if your feet go over this, you've gone too far. And the kids would be okay with that because they knew exactly where they could play. They knew exactly what was expected of them. They knew exactly what was going to happen. And that's when I talk about boundaries. It's about your kids knowing, without you incessantly saying, get back here, get back here, get back here. Don't go over there. Stop running. Don't go there. Don't. No wonder your kids don't listen to you. It's tiring. So when we set up these boundaries, it does a lot of things. It allows our kids to know what's expected of them. Now, going back to that analogy of the psychologist with removing the fence, your boundaries are an invisible fence around your children that flex and move. Sometimes they come in, sometimes they go out and they know, oh, too much, and then you bring it back in. It's all age appropriate, and every single child is different. My neighbors had a 4-year-old that they could let, we aren't on a super busy street, but they knew that they could go from the mailbox to my driveway on the sidewalk, and they'd be playing unsupervised. And for that family, that worked. By the way, they're quite grown now and they turned into amazing kids, and never once did they ever get hit by a car. I don't know, but anyways, it worked. What I'm saying is that people find what works for them, what they're okay with, and what they are not. And that's what I help you do when I'm working with you one-on-one. When I work with you over the 6 weeks that I do, I really help you to find out, what are you okay with? Are you like me? You're very noise sensitive, so you need to have quiet. And the only time you can really let them rip is when they're outside because it's just too overwhelming and too nerve-wracking. Okay. If you need that, then you know what? We're going to set up the boundaries. We're going to set up the times. We're going to work with that and create times where you kids know that they can go wild and be as loud as they want. And there's times where they aren't, and they'll be okay with that because that just becomes the norm. But we have to clearly express that. And when we're talking about the other pillars, we just mentioned like the behavior. The behavior we don't want is children running around yelling and screaming. We're going to communicate that when we're inside, we use inside voices, and we're going to use the follow through, which would be natural or logical, that we're going to give them an opportunity to do that. So when you are disciplining your kids, so like I was saying yesterday, when you are guiding and teaching your children, these boundaries become rules. They become the expectations. I just call them boundaries because it just makes more sense, at least in my brain. So hopefully it does in yours. So I want to make sure that, when you are questioning these things, when you are looking at your kids doing stuff, when you're going to the grocery store, you guys are going out for a walk, what are your boundaries? What are your expectations? It's like when you work with your clients, you don't just suddenly start working with your clients and just go. You talk with them. You find out their expectations, their needs, their wants. Like you're looking at your kids, what they need, what they want. And then you're going to give them how you're going to do it. And this is how it's going to happen in this time frame. That's the outline. That's the boundary that they need. So why don't you do it with your kids? You know it works for grown-ups, and it's even more so for kids. So let me get into why it's so important. The reason it is so important for children to have such clear, firm, loving boundaries, and I say loving because boundaries don't keep them in. It keeps them safe in a space that also allows them to experience, to have successes, to have failures, to make choices that have real life consequences that aren't going to really seriously hurt them. Like, I had a daycare, I call her one of my daycare daughters. She was here for so long. I reminded her that standing on this toy, and she was 4, And holding on to the fence and looking at the neighbors was probably not a safe choice. And then I would remind her, well, if you make an unsafe choice, you don't get to cry. That was the boundary. That was the expectation. Kind of reminded her that maybe it wasn't such a great idea. Sure, I could have gone over there and stopped her, but then there was no learning. So I gave her the boundary. Sure as stink. She kind of slipped. She was not hurt. She didn't scuff herself. She just startled herself more than anything. And then she goes, I'm not crying. I said, is your body okay? She goes, yes. I said, okay. Are you going to make a different choice next time? She goes, yes. I said, good for you. You all right now? And she was like, yes. And you know what she did? She went right back there, took that very same toy that she was talking on, turned it, went and got a couple of, I think it was sand toys, and jammed them in there, and then climbed up there and spent the next half an hour talking to the daughter, like the neighbor kid. If I had not given her that boundary with a gentle reminder of what could happen, I didn't allow her the space to have that experience to, action, consequence. Okay, I did that happened. Didn't like that so much. That wasn't so fun. But if I did do this and I do this, yes, I can do it. So giving your kids boundaries is not bubble wrapping them. Okay, I have a real issue with that because it just closes your children off from any sort of learning. I personally have seen and feel that when you bubble wrap your kids and you are hovering after them and you are always making sure they're safe of every minute of every second all day long, that you are not allowing your children the opportunity to learn and grow and gain true, pay attention here, true self-esteem. Not everybody gets a ribbon because everybody showed up. No. True self-esteem for, like when my daycare girl slipped and fell, tumbled a little bit off of that toy, that was a failure. First attempt in learning, fail. First attempt in learning. And when you take those things away, they don't get the pride because she was beaming after. I fixed it. I thought of it. And I'm like, way to go. Because halfway through the conversation, she turned around and she goes, Auntie Corina, I made a safe choice. I'm like, you sure did. Way to go. I mean, the ear to ear. And the first thing she talked about when her parents came to pick her up was how she had fixed an unsafe choice. That was huge. So by giving your kids these boundaries, it allows them to feel safe enough that they can try things that they might not otherwise have done. And it gives them that opportunity to really integrate that sense of self-accomplishment, problem solving, which we all know is just a huge issue. I don't know about you guys, but I sure found, like, how come my kids can't think themselves out of a wet paper bag? Drove me bananas. Couldn't handle it. Drove me crazy. Like, what do you mean? There's like 6 opportunities here, and why can't you see them? But when we give our kids as many opportunities as we can, by being clear, by being calm, by giving them choices, by giving them this fence that fits them, and they'll let you know if it's getting too small. They'll let you know if they're ready. And sometimes we think they're ready and we may open up the boundary a little bit and it just might be a little too big for them. They're not quite grown into it, so we're going to just snug it up a little bit for them so that they can go back to really exploring who they are and have that joy in childhood that kids need. I don't know if some of you caught some of the videos that I put together, but I had put one together and it was all my daycare kids. And the pictures that you saw of me out and about with them at the local zoo, them playing in the backyard with the sprinkler on low and running and jumping, that was not just once in a while. That was constant here. It was very, very, very common for my parents to come home, to come to the house and find a note on the door saying, at the park, meet us there. At the water park, meet us there. Gone picking blackberries, here's where we are. And parents would often, they just walk in the house, get their kids' stuff, and then they come meet us. Because we were always out doing things and giving them the experience to be out and about, to practice their skills, to practice their stop, looks, and listens, to practice and take turns pressing the walk button. all these things that had these boundaries that allowed them to have these experiences in a way that was safe. I was firmly in charge, which is a wonderful thing. Firmly in charge does not mean controlling. I want to be very, very clear about that. Firmly in charge means when they look at you, they know that this is how it's going to be, or this is how it needs to be, but you've got your eye on them and it's okay to try. Okay, to me, that's what it means. And when a lot of my parents come to me feeling really like they don't really know what their boundaries are. They don't really know what feels right for them. And it's a lot of growing pangs. And what I do is I guide them through all this, like we've done all week. I teach them about behaviors and sort of all the stuff behind them. I teach them about communication and how and intonation and body posture and all these things that we may not think about. Because if you're going, don't hit your sister, there it doesn't connect, right? And then we talked about consequences that make sense. You know, like your kid throws a toy. You're not going to say you're never going to play with toys again. This is the stupidest thing ever. Makes no sense. And then you wonder why they still do what they do. So I think that that's what it kind of comes down to, is that boundaries really help us to give our kids this safe space that feels good, where they can tantrum, where they can fall off their toy, where they can empty out the drawer 6 times and unfold your laundry, which drives you crazy, but you help them to put it back together. It also gives them a place where they can explore and they can try out new things that maybe they were feeling a little hesitant. You say, it's okay, I'm here with you. If you need my help, I'm here. And it's just that support within that boundary, within that fence that you've created for them, that they can really start to experience. And you're going to notice a big change between your kids and other kids. And this may sound completely pretentious, and you can like it or not. But when I was in the school system with the kids, and when I was doing daycare while my kids were in elementary school and beyond, the teachers would say to me, you can tell your kids from your daycare, they stand out. She goes, they are able to sit quietly when you ask them. They're able to follow instructions without having to be told 6 times. She goes, they're able to be independent in a way a lot of kids aren't. They ask more questions. They seem more confident. So she said, you can really tell. I guess and I asked one, she goes, it's just your particular style of how you run your daycare gives these kids what they need in a place where they can really learn about who they are and how they fit in this world. And so that when they go into something bigger, they're not feeling so lost. And I was like, wow, that is a huge thing for a kindergarten teacher. And she had been doing kindergarten forever. She was like almost retiring. So she'd been doing it for decades. So when you have somebody of that kind of authority who really sees that and is able to tell you, you're doing something that I can see, I can tell your kids from those who weren't with you. It's neither good nor bad. It's just is. It kind of made me go, wow. Like, wow, wow, wow. So when your kids know that they can trust you to put the fence up when they need it, when they go through those 6 months of the year, of whatever part of the year, when their brain and body are not connected and they are pushing every single rule, every single boundary you have set up, it's okay. Stay firm. It will pass, I promise. Usually faster than you think. And then you're gonna have about 6 months where everything's gonna be, super kosher and copacetic because their brains and their bodies have connected again. So when you say it's not working because your kids are constantly testing you, there's a reason behind it, okay? So you're gonna notice a big change in your kids. Just to kind of wrap this up, you will start finding that your kids are much calmer, be able to be much more relaxed. You're gonna find less of that frenetic kind of chaotic hubbub in your house because nobody kind of knows what's going on. You're gonna lead your family in a loving, parental way that your kids, they will beg for it. Kids, when they are acting out, they will take any attention they can get, positive or negative. They don't care. Attention is attention. They don't differentiate. So if your kid is acting out or acting up, or being a toad all the time, there might be a reason. Are you being clear? Are you being firm? Are you setting up those boundaries? Are you being consistent with them? Are you making sure the follow through is connected to what they're doing? And what you will find, the behavior will escalate before it de-escalates. And I guarantee you, if you can write that out and you have someone, you have me by your side, ready to go at, 11 hours a day, go, at the park, they're doing such and such again. I want to do this, but I want to do that, but I feel like this, and I know what I need to do, but I can't. See, you can get that guidance right there, right in the minute, right as it goes. And that's how I get you to become this really confident parent that can take their kids anywhere, never have to worry about a meltdown. You can plan your days out. You can plan outings. You can go to people's houses when we're allowed. You know that your kids are going to be a joy to be with because they feel safe. They know that you are there for them in the way they need to keep them. It's kind of like walking down a walls with all these padding and they bumper car their way down. They're little kids. You ever watch a little kid walk? They don't walk in a straight line. They're like everywhere, but they always kind of stop. So think of yourself as the bumper pads, and the way your kids are growing and going, okay? So that's what we're going to do. You're going to notice a complete change. You'll find way less arguments, way less friction. You're going to have a lot more time. Now, a lot of people ask me, so how does all this going to help me when I'm trying to work at home? And that's what we're going to talk about tomorrow. So tomorrow, I want you back here at 2:00. All of this is on the replay. Please make sure that you write down that you're watching this on replay. Make sure you ask your questions. Slide into my inbox. Like you're running for home base, slide right in there. Shoot me a message. I am always available to talk. I am there for you. This is what I do. And I am giving you right now in this event that I am doing for you, I'm giving you more information than I have ever given in any of my lives ever, because I want you to see that when you have somebody that is there to really teach you the ins and the outs and the subtleties and the psychology, like your coach would, of your marketing structure or your business structure, when I give you all of that about parenting, you're able to take that skeleton foundation and build it and flesh it out in a way that suits your family, with your boundaries, your needs, what you need and see for your family in the way that is going to fit the needs of your children, because your children are crying for boundaries. They are crying for them, literally. When your child is meltdown after meltdown after meltdown, is nothing but behavior after behavior after behavior, they are screaming for somebody to rein them in, to put these boundaries in place, because it is too big, it is too huge, it is too much, and it is too scary. So they are just flailing for that space. I've experienced it time and time again. I've had kids come in with behavioral challenges, and they spend, by the end of a few weeks with me, they're like a new kid. It happens over and over again. I do the same thing every single time. It's how I implement it that is different with every single kid. Okay? All right. That's it for today. We are done like dinner. Tomorrow is our second to last day. And if you checked on my, oh, it's not here. So if you checked on my stories, you will see that I did a cool little party moment. And there's going to be, it's a hint of what's coming. So tomorrow we're going to talk about how parenting is going to benefit your business and how that is going to alleviate your mom guilt. Big time. So we're going to put it all together tomorrow. So I can't wait to see you guys. Have an amazing afternoon. Make sure that you hop in and ask your questions, because that's what I'm here for. So until then, have a wonderful evening, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.